Welcome all, by the way. Socials are in the top left or to my right, and I appreciate all the support, so please smash that like button and or subscribe for more content that's IT and gaming related. Currently we've got a massive issue on hand, and that's our productivity PC is offline. It's been, pardon the pun, a continuing stream of affairs pertaining to how we've gone about addressing some problems with it currently. Oh, the worst part was yesterday, through utter complete frustration, could not even get the power cord because of the lack of room available in the case connected. It was very frustrating. Something that a novice would do. I set myself up literally to position the board in a fashion, in a manner of speaking, where, let me just turn that down for a smidgen. The gain's pretty high on the mic. That's a little better. The gain's pretty high on the mic. So, yeah, position myself to be able to quite easily connect up that spot, because that's where I knew the troubleshooting would not necessarily begin, but occur regarding just connecting the device up properly in the new case. Now, we did everything fine eventually. I got it connected, booted it up. It should have essentially been a transplant of a PC, so parameters wise nothing should have changed except for a couple of cosmetic features and performance features pertaining to different fans being used and whatnot. No, it started up fine. Well, it seemed like it did. It didn't post, and we're stuck in a position that for me, having to deal with this on my own PC level is quite extreme, because I can't afford to not go without my working PC, which is essentially my streaming PC as well. So currently we're using the gaming one for that, which is sort of a little odd for me. That's not saying it's getting the job done, but you know, when it suddenly comes to a 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 hour render, I don't want to be spending 4 hours doing something when it could take me 20 minutes. It's, yeah, you know, that, and the fact that just a few months back, the chip alone was over 850 Australian dollars. So I'm worried now, because the only debug light I've got on the board itself is, and descriptions entail the parts in the build itself, so you can understand where I'm coming from. But the MSI board itself's got a debug light, and I was thinking to myself, well, what is it? It's close to the RAM, so I'm hoping it's just RAM and RAM recycling and whatnot that's necessary. And unfortunately, it's the CPU light indicating whether there is a lack of CPU recognition / and or fail people. And I cannot afford a failed PC right now. Literally, I cannot afford a failed PC. I might actually go on Kickstarter if it is completely cactus, and I was going to do the opposite and do what everyone doesn't do on Kickstarter, and that's actually ask for a job in the IT sector industry specifically, rather than free money. But yeah, I don't know, people were suggesting I try something different, and that would be definitely different, because people are like, what does he want? Wait, he doesn't want our money, he wants work? Really? You know? But yeah, so speaking of work, I've set myself out some work to do. We're going to have to disconnect that PC that's under desk, and we'll bring it up onto the table here, and we essentially have to completely gut her out again. From the new case, the H500 MasterBox case produced by CoolerMaster, that is also linked in a video on the unboxing and review of that case. Performance wise, for bang for buck, it's pretty decent. But yeah, we're going to have to see if we can, at the very least, start off by reseating the CPU, hoping everything's fine. There was a cooler attached to it. There's about a millimeter now give in that cooler. Apart from that, the only other parameter was an additional power supply to the CPU added, which should have not drawn instantly more power and caused the CPU to fry. But worse things have happened in the past. Not to me specifically, but to other people's computers that I've had to troubleshoot and work around and explain to them, yeah, it's gone. Unfortunately, it's actually really gone. What do you mean everything seems to light up? No, that's the motherboard, buddy. The CPU's gone. You know, and I can't have that happen to me, because the irony is it would literally be the second time in a week I lost the legacy system due to trying to teach people how to install a budget system for themselves and not being used to necessarily talking and working at the same time. Because if I work quietly and methodically, then I'm very effective at my job. Trying to teach people at the same time, you neglect to do the checks and balances you're teaching people to actually do. Although even I felt like I did, it was just an unlucky turn of events, literally, that the cord itself turned in on itself in that CPU installation, and went in like butter, where all checks and balances would equate that you wouldn't be able to push that cord in that fashion, and you essentially have 4 grounds and 4 12 volts, and they were just flipped to the other side, and the 12 volts went through the ground, and there goes an i7 950. That was a chip that's been in the family for over 11 years, and from a base clock of 3 gigahertz could be clocked to over 4.45 gigahertz, making it in this day and age still a rival to any system whatsoever, with 4 cores and 8 threads. Very, very decent. Very, I'd have to say it was an intelligent system, and I almost shed a tear for the fact that I lost that PC, because I don't often lose PCs. You don't lose PCs on my watch. If I can salvage a board and bring it back to life, I've done that with legacy boards and whatnot, like old XFX boards that I found in the trash, and brought them back up to life. Could not, because of money restraints, I had to sell them off to people who were collectors or people who just needed an entry-level PC and didn't know what they were actually getting, because spec-wise they were entry-level, but what they actually got was something that if they parted on eBay, they could have made 3 or 4 times more money than what they paid for it from me, if they were savvy enough. But yeah, so I'm a little deflated. I'm hoping that once we get it out and I manage to at least reseat the CPU and that, there will be some sort of function going on. If that's the case and I can get it to boot, I'll get it to work. It's just a matter of going through that process now. And then once done, and hopefully being ecstatic that it's actually working again, putting it all back in the box again. And dealing with the lack of sort of space in a box that essentially is really efficient, if you can manage to put that ATX form factor board in there to begin with the cooler and everything that I've got. And I've got like essentially like there's no space anywhere, and even like trying to connect the CPU, it's very finicky. But that's the least of my problems right now. The major issue is making sure that PC is still alive, because that would be you know, people say bad things come in threes. I seem to always have little bad things going wrong all the time, so I'm like, okay, I'm sweet, I'm fine when it counts. But it seems like 2 bad things have happened to me, and the 3rd bad thing I don't want to be is a confirmation of the fact that a system that is out of my budget stream is down and cannot be replaced anytime soon whatsoever. It makes me, I don't like to say it, I'm never envious of other streamers and content creators regarding IT and whatnot, but it makes me envious now that some of them can sit on ARGB graphics cards and just go, meh, we don't really want to review these right now for you because no one can buy them and you guys agree. And even though they're new content providers, new hardware reviewers, and having that there on hand ready to go if a card does become available is good knowledge for those people. But because the mainstream can't, they're playing to the mainstream viewership wing, and that's why I'm not envious. I'm just sort of angry that they've got the luxury of all this stuff on hand and they don't even use it. And I, on the other hand, would lap it all up and produce that content for everyone, but also have some security at hand, that knowing that if something goes wrong, I can easily replace that work PC because, you know, one, I'm making something out of it, so it can be a work expense at the very least, but 2, you know, the luxury of the fact that these parts are readily available for review, obviously, and for the purpose of you guys, but also, you know, as a byproduct, I've got the luxury of, you know, keeping some of those items and maybe upgrading my stuff and reinvesting back into my streams and my content that I produce, making it of a high production value and caliber, meaning that it's not instantly dismissed by a lot of people in this day and age, which are clickbait happy and whatnot, and triggered by the fact that something doesn't look as polished, rather than listening to the content that's being provided. Because I don't steer people astray, I don't steer you away, I don't steer you in the wrong direction. I try to give you concise, diligently put information that provides you with a rounded view on the topics at hand, so that you can make an educated decision and not, especially with your hip pocket, lose out in any way, shape or form. At the very least, be the best informed you can be at that time and stage, in the current way the industry is being run. And some of the industry, like many industries, is shonky, but you know, I'm starting to start a new series on that, shedding a light into how shonky the IT industry has somewhat become. I wouldn't say necessarily shonky, but maybe a lot of people are lacking a lot of self-integrity, which translates into poor, misguided, sometimes ill-factored, rhetorically charged information that sounds real but is completely fabricated in many ways, shapes or forms. I'm not going to call out and name names in today's stream. That's not what we're here about today. Here we're about saving Lucky Wild. Lucky Wild is the name of my productivity stream, because it's a very lucky system for me to have, lucky system for it to exist, because I was on the cups of the 5000 series Ryzen chips coming out, and I got a 3900 XT instead, which in Australia should have been dropping in price, but was roughly the same price of a new 5900X. Now, if I had it all over again, I would definitely buy a 5900X over a 3900 XT. There's a bit of a draft in the room, but it's not the case, and that's why Lucky's lucky she exists. At least she was, so we're going to see if we can bring her back to life and have her operational again, and because this time it might generally be user error, and I hate it when I'm associated with user error. I'm a PC techie, for God's sake. User error is very detrimental to my psyche, let alone my reputation. So yeah. Mistakes happen, you know, in a high octane environment. You know, you're bound to make some mistakes in some way. It's human error. But on systems that are established, it can't exist. You know what I mean? Like if you're making 100 systems within 3 or 4 days, then one system to be faulty might be excusable because of just the general nature of having to push them out, you know what I mean? And then you get that back and you fix it if it's not a faulty part itself, and it's back up and running again, you know? But for the luck that involves in the 100% capacity of my systems under my watch currently, it's unexcusable for something like that to have occurred. So I'm hoping it's just a basic reseed issue. Which means it's a complete strip down and a complete rebuild anyway. So that's like something that you have to understand when it comes to PC tech, and they quote you how much it costs to. It's like, what do you mean? You just have to check that. It's like, but do you know how much a build cost is? And that's literally not building the PC, but pulling it apart all and building it again. So naturally, you would think that the build cost would factor in plus any additional time to work out what parts are wrong. You know, it's a weird conundrum that depending on who you get, they can charge you an arm and a leg, and it is feasibly justified in some way, shape, or form. You know. So that's enough. So that's enough of an intro today. Regarding myself and the direction of this stream, it's just a matter of getting to work. I'm happy to answer any questions posed to me. If I manage to see with my poor eyesight the text on the screen, I will notice it. So hang around for a split second longer and I will notice you saying hello and whatnot, and I appreciate the commentary. Providing it's not spam, you know. I have a few people recently come in dropping the N-bomb in painted fucking scripted text, you know, and that's just not on, guys. It's very childish. I don't know who has the time to create that sort of image, but yeah, it's disgusting, you know. Not going to talk about any movements here and all that about because everyone's lives matter, frankly. And that's sort of like, and on a side note, before we continue on, slightly bemusing and amusing to myself what I'm doing, because there's a secret plan involved in pumping up the integrity value of the IT sector and system on the whole through the showcase of poor form factor video content creators on YouTube specifically, who make a lot of money from doing something like this. And I'm doing it all for one person, so his life matters as well, and his life has been turned to shits because of people who are hypocrites, essentially. If you know anything about what I'm talking about, keep it to yourself for the time being, because when negative backlash occurs when I'm doing the series itself, unboxing the IT industry, and I continue on and there's negative retaliation, I've got a few aces on my sleeve and a few pre-scripted videos which I then will show, which are backdated, which pretty much proves exactly that negative backlash that was to come my way, and circumnavigates it with, yeah, I was aware you guys would say something like this. This is why it's complete fabricated nonsense and bullshit, and you're on the defense now. Through a fanboy attack mechanism scheme, you know. That's what people do. They try to perceive themselves as clean, but they're all dirty motherfuckers. But anyway, that's enough about being the boss and being the gangster wannabe that I used to aspire to be as a child, because I'm not all that clean myself, but it doesn't mean I'm not a good person at heart, and I've learned from my mistakes. So let's press forward and hope that this computer isn't a mistake as well. or something that will make us stronger. So let's go guys. Let's not get on a downer. I'll try to put on some good music, but it has to be DCMA approved music, which will not mute the live stream essentially in the long run, especially if it's something worthwhile to come back to. But the music, as best as I can find it, being selective on the songs which I can find which are available, they're still not complete bangers, and they're sometimes good for background stuff, but when they start to overpower with the beat, they can be a bit drony, a bit annoying. This track's nice, as you can hear, but yeah, I like to also use music to change my mood as well. It's a smart way of approaching things. And unfortunately all those bangers just don't exist on a consistent level, you know. So yeah, I've just woken up, by the way, as well, so that's my first point of call. As soon as I get into things, I'll probably get some phone calls as well, which I'll have to mute the stream for a couple of minutes to deal with some personal issues on the side. Very bad, poor timing, because really the system has to be up and running for me to be able to get any work done from day to day. So wish me luck, guys, because I don't normally ask for it. I don't normally perceive like it's necessary. As a PC doctor, you know, I bring other people's PCs back to life from the brink. So it'd be really, it'd be dirty irony that I couldn't do that to my own, you know. And that's why I'm slightly down, because the massive red flags are when there's potential CPU failure being indicated. And you already know that it's not the power supply, it's not the motherboard, it's not that, then you just have to hope and pray that it's just, there's a millimeter difference or something. And because it's an AMD chip, it's 3900 XT, you know, it could have a shitload of bent pins or something in it currently, you know. That's what we're going to find out, which is still fine. It's better than broken pins. But yeah, we're gonna find out what happened to it. We'll assess the board on the back side. There might be a scratch somewhere around there, which has broken a connection. Because power to the board, the ATX works and everything. Yeah. Can you tell I really don't want to be doing this? I want to be doing something different. But I need that computer to do that different stuff. So let's get fucking cracking. Actually, let's warm up. Let's warm up on the side, people. So welcome to the stream. My name's Robbi Astro. Welcome to what is essentially Robbi Tek. Robbi Tek is a progressive, changing environment. One day you might see me in a warehouse. One day you might see me in an office. Robbi Tek's essentially what I make it, but it's always based upon a similar scheme of affairs, which is PC tech news, IT related goodness and whatnot. PC builds if I can get my hands on new stuff, hardware reviews, you know, peripheral unboxings and or overviews and whatnot, how-tos, as well as gaming related stuff at times. It's what drives the industry on a personal level and PC basis. And yeah, but before we do, I might just start off with maybe some poetry, something a little bit different, so you can get a different sense of me. Not that I'm just some sort of drone, some sort of mundane, you know, foe that has to be looked at, ridiculed and abused. I hate the fact that people try to treat me like some personal muse for their own fucking dismay, so that they can feel better about themselves in some way, shape or form. Hey, but Maybe I'll start flowing off the beat as well. Alright, let's go. And I'm right here as well, so I can have my cup. Good cup of coffee, people. It's gone cold. It's still good though. I don't know how did the coffee get spilled. I got a coffee stain on my desk without a coaster. Also, by the way, I feel self-conscious about my gut, so don't make fun of me, please. Corona has been very relentless on my body. How is there a cup of coffee in the image, but yet I'm drinking coffee? What's going on, people? Coffee. I need to have a glass somewhere because my voice tends to get a bit croaky. At times, if I talk non-stop, it still hasn't solidified itself and become stronger. What we're going to do is I'm just going to change this back overlay wallpaper I've got. I'll just slow it down a little bit. It's got a mind of its own, frankly, currently, and it's extremely aggressive. Random slash can go. Splat radius can be dropped to that, and we'll leave it at that. Just chill the fuck down with all that stuff. That beat isn't that excessive. Jesus. Actually, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So that's chilled down a little bit. That's chilled down a bit. Before, like you would see it going in a second. Here we go when the beat starts. That's still chill. It was like completely taken over. 15-inch monitor in front of my eyes. So it's just like, wow, overkill. Please stop. Please stop. Anyway, we'll go back to scene 2. And yeah, let's So the good thing is, if you need any troubleshooting or something, I can switch up straight away. Open up the browser, whatnot, and with software applications and that, literally run you through exactly what needs to get done, so you can see it firsthand. And yeah, we can get you rolling straight away, essentially. Okay, there's my voice. So what we're going to do is we're going to unplug. So yeah, clearing the CMOS and everything like that, I've already approached that. I've tried those couple of things that might have jolted it out of its poor state, but nothing seems to work, so we're going to have to unplug everything again, pull it out, and hope you can't see the cross, but hope to God people, that we can get it to come back to life, because yeah, because nobody's perfect, nobody's imperfect, did I mean imperfect, nobody's classic, bad, my paygram brought down a blast, nobody's perfect, not even ever last, nobody's dumb, then how dumb is him, nobody's naive, nobody's sweet, not even your kids, nobody steals, nobody's ignorant, nobody's nobody but baby scum, nobody's scum, bullshit, breathing that filthy and electrified, encapsulated moon, stormy afternoons, weekends, existence, approach taken into fruition, lounging about debating the inevitable, debating our time, the lasting the incredible, every apple grasping at the task, even gravity's been brought down to a pace at last, great fun swelling, society's days and age, breathing that filth once again, breathing our light, the dim snuff out of every night we're in society armed with mechanical pens, notarizing that shit for you once again. Alright, let's go. Alright, let's go. Let's unplug it. Alright, that fired me up a little bit. I'm so annoyed that I can't just pull the cooler off in the position it is because of the main middle fan that has to be removed. To remove that fan, there is no space. You do have, and to get it reconnected effectively, there's no space. It has to be pulled out completely. If there was a better connection, they put on those Dark Rock Pro 4 coolers, which are really good for the price, but it's because they crap out on a couple of things like how to connect the stuff and that by using flimsy wires and that, which require a lot of space and torque to get stretched onto around. You see what I'm talking about in a second. Alright, let's pull her out. Let's get the visual happening. I've already got the cover off the side of the case, which means it doesn't look as pretty from the onset when you see it. It's nothing crazy, but it's for the money. The case is good, but it was more for the mesh air factor. I needed a mesh front style case intake that didn't break the bank, and all the Elancool meshes and all that in Australia, an extra $40-50 is what I paid for this one. I do have a pedigree style of similar case to this. I have the H500M. But yeah, okay. So hopefully the lighting looks really good on camera wise. Like the room looks lit up, but I can't see shit in here, frankly. So let's have a look at what we've got. Greeted by Lucky Wild. Hopefully she's still lucky, but definitely wild. And my gaming PC is Joker's wild because it's got like these quirks. So I call him Joker, but when he gets out of hand, he's just fucking wild with his issues. I don't know, and it's a clean operating system. I keep my stuff clean, you know what I mean? Alright, so you can see it's got the intakes. It's very, very pretty. It's got the option for a static panel, but for example, what we replaced it from was a El Cheapo MasterBox, I think the RB520 RGB edition. So it's very similar. I've got it here. It's good for anything else but for my system, and you can see that that's got a front panel style, but the only intakes on the side there. This has got the option of the side intakes, but it's also all intake there, and that's what I needed. And combined with pop side here, we've got the most powerful consumer grade 200mm fan ever produced regarding the density of the amount of air it can push or pull. It's surprisingly only DC capable and Molex driven, but that was the only drawback from it. If you have it at the right operating speed through the low, medium, high settings, which are available to manually preset, and you're happy with those, then it moves so much air. It's like this Vornado fan, you know what I mean, on low at the very least. Like that's what it is. You can put it on a side. I used to use it for overclocking on opened air motherboards, and that on the RAM and the VRMs. Very, very effective. But I managed to find a case that, as an Antec fan, and it's got an unusual 200mm shape, and it's very thick. I managed to find a case where it's completely perfect for. I just have to bring the PC back to life, people. Let's pray now. Pray for the PC gods to arrive. Let them come and bless us this PC today, for it needs salvation and redemption back to life, back to our, previous state. All right. So we'll pop this back aside. I can be very restrained, and I can be like Kerry Holtzman or someone, you know, to name drop, and be like, I'm very professional, people. Blah 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 blah. Here's a free PC. That's a piece of garbage, and it gets me views anyway. Sort of shit. But this is my job. I don't need people to. And it's like, and this is my business model, and I'm so transparent. Yet I'm still talking shit to you guys. He does teach some things, but other stuff is completely drab coming out of him. I don't know if I can watch him or not, and take him seriously when I do. On the other hand, he's quite serious and focused all the time, so at least. I am too. I just bring something else into the mix because it's not really a professional setting when you're letting someone into your home. It's if you saw me out if you saw me out in the IT sector, I might be a little bit more, because you don't bring politics and religion into those sort of places at the very least. And I'm not saying I will. I'm just saying that it's all part of who you are, and at least in an ethical standpoint of view, at the very least, religious people and religious backgrounds tend to have a better understanding of ethics, at least put into fruition, and aren't complete assholes. Unless no offense to those people who are like, that's fine. I don't care if I get reincarnated as an ant. I'm just going to be a prick for the rest of my life here on this land, because YOLO, you only live once, yo, or something. I don't know. Anyway, so we can have a look at her on the side and just see what we're dealing with. She's very packed and dense, full of very heavy things. Considering, I'll grab my torch and I'll come across here and we'll have this discussion. So I apologize about the distortion in the image. This is a 4K webcam, which for some reason gives me less of a clearer image than you can see in the bottom right section of the screen, which is only 720p, but there's so much noise in the image. I don't like that. That's why when I do videos, I do them on my old phone at 1080p. I'd love to get myself a new Samsung Galaxy 21 Ultra to utilize either that or a DSLR camera. It's sort of second hand that. Again, talking about video production costs and whatnot, it's just so much nicer, get some pot plants in the background, get some pot plants in the background that look like they've got plenty of life, yet there's no light or actual sunlight, direct or non-direct, in the room. So how do they live? So clearly they get moved every time there's a video production occurring, or they're fake plants. And we'll get a screen, a ULD screen, which has a nice moving background on it, but it's out of focus, and a couple of RGB lights, and that's our set, and we're done, and we're video pros. I hate that sort of shit where people put emphasis on all of that instead of the content they're providing, and people just are brainwashed. They're just like, oh, this must be fine, this is all right, this is word, we'll take it for word. It's like, don't take me for word. I need to start doing something different, like attacking these people when I see it, rather than just forgiving them for talking crap and getting monetized for it at that, when I'm a struggling content creator myself. I'm struggling because the algorithm's so different as well nowadays. It's changed drastically over the years, the way YouTube is set up. I want to make sure that we at least get into everything within an hour of starting the stream. I would essentially love to have a chat with you all. So before and at the end of the stream conclusion, during the stream it can be stream topic related stuff, but then otherwise outside of that we can submerge ourselves into some off-topic material as well, to get that better persona coming for myself, but also to not completely suffocate the fact that it's not always about tech. Tech is part of our world, and the world is vast in many ways, shapes and forms, isn't it? So yeah. So what do we got? I should like zoom in, but I got a remote control for it, and yeah. Alright guys, so you can see the massive cooler. It's got intake fan, center intake fan, additional fan, exhaust fan, all in unison for massive amounts of cooling with a 200mm massive exhaust that any sort of heat dissipated under full strenuous load on renders and whatnot that would cause that cooler to get warm. It gets instantly removed at the maximum potential that's available to it. So the only issue is the connection port itself and whether that's adequate enough to dissipate that heat thoroughly enough into the cooler itself. Once that level is established that it isn't, that's when we go to water cooling and whatnot, okay? So that's how that works. We'll turn it around. I'm struggling to get started. It's very, very difficult. I'm trying to get that PC just in a better light in a better light essentially. Yeah, that might be a bit better. So graphics wise, it's only got a placeholder in it that does the job for everything that's needed considering the applications. Graphics, GPU, rendering's heavy. To the AV, it's got a handed down, one of the best presents I ever got was a handed down capture card from an old DJ friend I used to know, who's moved on from live streaming in that way, shape and form. He probably does it in 4K now, that's why. But yeah, I got an internal he goes, here, see if you can get that to work. And he goes, you got it working? Oh my god, because yeah, it's one of those items that is one of the original sort of capture cards, and to get it to working on Windows 10 and whatnot was a nightmare, but once up and running, I haven't looked back at it. So you can see I went to a lot of effort. It's very clean considering the amount of space you've got and that. A couple of nicely needed place-wise here. 2 drives, only 2 terabytes, rhetoric fashion 0. We have to salvage that once we get it active. 2 NVMEs underneath. Booting off one, obviously. What else we got here? 64 gigabytes of RAM, G-Skill RAM. And so all it is essentially missing is, you chuck in a 3000 series graphics card and it's a gaming monster as well, but it's overclocked but undervolted. It's a manual overclock on everything, so it doesn't boost as high on one core, but it's shy of about 200 megahertz of its maximum boost potential anyways at 3900 XT. Look up the specs if you're interested. And that means that almost at 4.5 gigahertz on all cores, 12 cores, 24 threads. She is a rendering machine, which does generate some heat, but she's undervolted quite considerably. So in theory, it's mitigated and manageable. Otherwise, would I suggest you clocking your machine to this level? The XT chimps are binned for the fact that they were better binned. So you can, in theory, you hope you can get a little bit more out of them than the standard one, but you don't have to depend on luck as much. It's been proven that they are the better ones. But yeah, I've got how long have I got up my sleeve? I've got about 7 minutes of little daddling before I have to force myself to get to work. It's just like I said, I just got up, so I put on a cap and I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Okay, so before I break anything, I have to wake up my mind as well, and this is a form of it's a therapeutic form of doing it as well. If no one wants to interact with me for the time being, so I don't know, enjoy the ASMR, whatever that is. So I didn't completely finish the cable management on the back, but we got close, and there's about 20 goddamn zip ties, so this whole thing's gonna have to be gutted, and that's the thing I'm dreading the most, is just like redoing all of that again. So if we pop it on this side for the time being, I shall take off the antennae so that they don't breakage at any stage. Thank God the relentless heat that's been the last week or so in Melbourne, Australia, has sort of diminished. Okay, let's have a look at the mess, which is the back of the PC. Okay, so without cable ties, the best I could do is that will have to run across here. I couldn't put it down here at the very least. Essentially, once I finish it up, this will be a line here, this will be a line here, and that will hopefully not be hanging out. This might be tucked away a bit further, but there's only so much space available regarding that. But essentially, I like lines and nothing going on the diagonal, or everything has to be diagonal in that fashion. So it's clean enough that there isn't much space on the backside to close it, and you have to be careful when you don't do a clean build or tuck everything away, that when you're sliding things across down here, you can slice I/O wires and whatnot very easily. So yeah, it's very annoying. There's also a chance that a couple of the connections themselves to the power supply are maybe not completely active and are being pulled a little. I'll see if I can feel a click in. It's wishful thinking. It could just automatically bring the PC to life. I don't think so, guys. I don't think so. Alright. Let's start off with the dissecting. What I might do as well is I may change the lighting scheme real quickly in this room. For use, it's lit. For me, it's very, very blue. Oh, my phone was in the middle of an update. Yikes. Alright, now I'll install that Android update as well. Now that we've got some lightage. Did I actually have my like literally show you guys my pin? That would have been great. Okay. Well, the good thing is everything in the case seems to work. It's like all the case fans work. That's great. It's, unfortunately, at the expense of the whole CPU being made redundant, potentially. So we're going to take off the all the little things that are going to start falling apart as we pull it apart. That's partially why I did the cable management, so that I can now put it on its side and still sort of dissect it. Maybe retain the harness itself. I'm gonna fix that up so you guys get a better view. Okay. Ah, crikeys, let's go. Let's start bringing her apart. You know, it's like a dishwasher who, say, comes home after washing dishes all day. Last thing they want to do is see a sink full of dirty dishes and have to wash those, even though they're effective at doing it. Last thing I want to do is be fixing my computers when I prefer to be fixing and troubleshooting other people's and putting smiles on their dials. It does not put a smile on my dial when my PC is under siege. Is under siege with the dramatic music playing. Alright, let's start off by, let's just remove it all. We'll test it on the open test bench. Do I have something nice for the little bits and pieces? What we'll do is we'll take all of these and we'll transfer into this one, and then we'll keep a clean one for all the ones that we removed currently and which we're using. Okay. there is one. Move that capture card. Get rid of this. Get rid of this 1050 Ti OC that nowadays will cost you $400 on release, $220 Australian, about $150 US. 4 years ago. What the world is coming to the world. Like, it'd be like, well, you can sell that and get yourself a new card then, really. It's like, no, you can't. That's the point. You can't buy the new card. So there's no use, like, until you physically have the card in your hand, don't get rid of the old ones at the moment, you know, and if you're not in a position to, you're sort of screwed. I find this clip very troublesome. Today it's not going to give me much hassle, I don't think, because it just senses that I'm not in the mood. There we go, that's out. See, there's no real way. Over here, I have to unclip a center fan to reclip it effectively. It'll be very, very difficult. Otherwise, I could potentially just remove the cooler itself, and maybe we can try. We can try. There's no harm in trying. Will I be able to reclip it on? Will I be skilled enough here to fling it back into place? No, look, I think we have to start again, frankly. I think we do have to start again, which is unfortunate. This is the clippage itself there. Yikes. What's the time, people? Yeah, it's time to get to work. Let's go. Unplug the 26 pin. So make sure you get that latch and just swivel it back and forward until it's out. Move it to its side over here. Where's my torch? So system fans, system fan ones, which are two 200mm connected. We're going to disconnect those on the board as well. Tack everything away underneath to the side. There's a chance that we might be able to keep and maintain the harness's integrity, the cabling mess, which is the harness. I suggest once it's set up, it becomes a harness essentially. If you do a good cable management job, that's what you call them. And there's a chance I might be able to just pull this motherboard out now. The most annoying part is that CPU connection itself, but everything else can be tied off the side, and it's not going to be, as long as it's not difficult to get the board on with everything around it. Generally, if you're building for the first time, I also say get the largest case you can. It makes your job so much easier. Otherwise, everything can be very finicky and fiddly. So what I'm thinking first is we're going to undo that USB, which one's for the power supply, surprisingly for remote management access and whatnot. USB 3.0. Front panel connectors. HD audio. Now I might remove this shroud and double check whether everything is connected to the power supply per se, pertaining to the CPU itself, just to see. So to take that off, there's a side panel here, then it just moves to the side. I've only got to, it's about, what's the time now? Oh, it's still on the update. Are you kidding me? When it's updating, oh, there we go. It's annoying. So what's the time? So it's almost 12 o'clock. I've realistically only got to about 3. So I've got about 3 hours. So we have to sort of knuckle down. I can't press around too much. Still learning this case. Alright, that's going to have to be threaded through here first, these 2 spots. I've given myself less space to do it in. There should be more space now. Come on, just ever so gently. Okay. Now it should come out. And get rid of that front audio as well. So what essentially I'm doing is just making space to be able to slide this across to here a bit further. So that I can just pull it out, but without moving anything, releasing anything, pulling anything to cause an issue, which may falsify the fact that we're going to now find out whether that CPU has been pulled or not. No, it hasn't. Everything's in very snugly. Okay, so next things on the agenda is we can leave the CPU connected to the CPU header until we got the motherboard out. That connection over here for the exhaust cooler and exhaust case are both connected together into one CPU fan header as well for BIOS control and CPU temp availability, just like the CPU fans here. I just didn't want to put them all, I didn't want to put 4 of them on one header, so that should just be able to be removed just here first. And then I'll feed that out this way. And I will unplug the CPU one from the cooler, because I will be pulling out the motherboard. Otherwise, this one on the other hand can then be threaded through here and put out of the way of the removal of the motherboard without having to disengage more things. So I'll just leave it like so and just pop it just there. Okay, so that's disengaged. And in a second's time, we do have that annoying connection point there to disengaged, which is the CPU power. This is why, like, you can't physically get yourself in there to put it in. You have to work around that. Another way of dissecting that is to get rid of the intake fan and that, but there still isn't enough room, so it's no use doing that. So I'm going to have to sort of pull the motherboard off slowly, carefully to the side without scratching the backside through the standoffs, and then unplug and then remove, and then we'll test. Or then we'll take the cooler off and everything. Obviously we will reapply thermal paste and whatnot, and but it's more about reseating and hopefully noticing that there's something unseated about the CPU. If it seems like it's in place and everything, then that's when I'm going to really start to worry, because it could just mean a dead CPU. And there was no indication for it to have died in that way as well. Like there's no, it's not like a dead on arrival where I can RMA it or something. So we'll pop that down again over here, and we'll start. Is it too early for a beer, people? Of course it is. We'll start by pulling it out. I'll get the harder screw first. Very, very difficult screw to get because there's so much noise in the way that I have to just hopefully feel I've got it in the thread and that it's unscrewing, and hopefully it will unscrew fine from the standoff in that way, shape or form. Got it. Start top side then. I wish it was just like a RAM seating issue, but and I wish the board had a digital display, like it could actually tell me a bit more information regarding what it is, but I ain't got the luxury for that. It's a good thing that I'm using my left hand. It means I'm using a different part of my brain today. It might work out okay in the end there. So I'm generally right-handed. That's all of them. Apart from the CPU power header that's in place and the lack of space, we're going to have to just move that aside ever so slightly. Now that we've got the bottom side guard off, it gives us a bit more space still to play with. ever so slightly. Hopefully I can get my hand in there. Without too much fuss. Try to give my space, like even every millimeter counts here regarding this. It's just the latch. The latch is disconnected. It should pull out now. It won't. Let's try the other side. Okay, what I might do, let's try to remove this fan first. No, that's not going to happen either. So, just seeing where I've got more space. It's a possible task currently. That's one. The other one should come just as easily. There we go. Imagine trying to connect it in that spot is very tricky, frankly. You should just ever so carefully be removed out now. Pop it here for side B. And we'll take our case and inspect this for physical damage. Everything's fine. It's a new power supply as well. Okay. I'll put the standoffs, make sure that they're back in place. Okay, we're going to pick the carcass up and pop it aside for the time being. Okay, that enables us to bring the motherboard back into the mix. Okay, so what we have here, I'm just going to check backside real quickly. Not the smartest way to lift it, considering you should be able to lift it this method, but considering there's potentially millimeter difference, that's put the CPU off. I just want to get a better address on the back side of the board and see if anything's scratched up at all. What's all around here? Everything seems like it will be fine. Which is promising, but okay. Let us start. So this is a B550 motherboard. If you're after the exact description, have a look in the description itself. We're going to flip it back over. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of the center. We're going to disconnect the CPU fan now. And we'll sort of unravel it out. The hidden little harness connection. That was all working and operating fine from the motherboard side of things. But will be a requirement to disconnect this center one, and this center one is this one just here. So we're going to have to remove that to get to the screws to take the Dark Rock Pro 4 cooler off. So first things first is I might use a flathead to do some prying, be a little bit easier. So we'll take off the other side here. They're not the most user-friendly clips. Don't want to damage them. They're very, very flimsy. Barely see them. But now we should be able to remove the center fan accordingly. I want to maneuver and move the cooler as little as possible, just to be able to physically see how much movement there is once I get there to it, removing it. Like if you get my drift, to go, yeah, that definitely was the issue. Maybe the cooler wasn't mounted correctly or it had gotten loose. Now these vanity screws, we'll undo those. And this is why Be Quiet gives you this very long, very long screwdriver to undo the screws per se. I don't know if you guys will be able to see exactly what's going on there. Essentially you have to go work your way in and do the reverse on taking it out. I'm going to have a look here now at the movement of it. There's some swivel, so there's a chance that the processor itself, I can't believe it can be dead. I couldn't believe, I would not believe that. So I'm going to start unloosening it one side and then the other side, sort of in, if I was diagonally like a wheel being unloosed, not completely on one side and completely on the other. Then when we pull it out, we're hopefully going to pull out the AMD processor at the same time, because that will bend the pins on it. A little bit further and then off to the side here, and that's one screw. Back to the other one we go. Pull it out front side, grab that screw, that's the other screw. Now it should free us up to be able to pull this off essentially. This is where I want to just get a visual on what's going on. I'm going to take the cover off so that there is no little cover which holds it down. And now we should effectively be able to just remove it depending on how stuck the and this we have to be careful with AMD processor, especially one that could be potentially on breaking pin points. You know what I mean? I'm gonna hope that a little bit of movement now, just get some air into that, because I applied the right amount of film paste plus some. I'll literally still be able to lift it up, like lift it up without the screws. That's how good the application is. So that's why I'm worried as to what the hell's going on with the CPU. Yeah, took it out with it. We could have a shitload of MPs. So that's an AMD CPU for you, and that's how it works. That's the worst way to remove it. Because there's essentially a clip here, and then it swivels across, so you lock it in. So for it to have done that is Now I have to assess these pens. So while it's sort of safely on the cooler, I don't have to hold it on the sides for the time being. I might just have a quick look here, see, and see if the pins are bent before we pull it off and clean it off, and try to reseat and cross our fingers that that's all that's needed. This is where I actually, for once in my life, don't need my glasses. I literally can use my eyes up close. See that? That's insane. It's good thermal paste. Yikes, guys. I have to be so gentle with this. I guess we're going to try to pry it off with maybe scratch the IHS, but at least we'll be able to pry it off. Very, very massive cleanup job ahead of us. In fact, I'm debating maybe putting it in to the socket to clean it, because I've got no other means of holding it together. Socket is clean, so we'll try resetting it and see what happens. Not directly in as yet. Hopefully she'll drop in right there. Now she's in. Give her a wiggle. And lock that nut. We're gonna cross our fingers, people. We're gonna cross our fingers. All right, to get rid of that that paste now, essentially the best thing to use is a dry torque towel before using 90% plus ibuprofen alcohol. I'm just gonna take some of that residue from the sides off. So it doesn't catch on anything else. Now they can somewhat. It's like a cured paste. Very good stuff once you have about 200 operating hours, but to clean off at this stage it's insane, but it does provide some of the best contact you're going to get regarding thermal paste. It's in the description as well if you want to know what thermal paste is being used. Pure liquid moly, people. It's goddamn mineral. It's material. It's gold. Liquid silver, y'all. Pure. At that, with some diamond extract and that. It's insane, you know. got some paste on the side here. I just don't want it to run on any circuitry. That should in fact theory be fine. In theory, in ideal, I would like it completely clean, you know. We're gonna take off that layer, that top layer, and just level it off. Okay, now we'll unseat it again and reseat it, just for good measure. Double check our RAM, that it's seated well. Everything seems fine in regards to that. The only other thing is that I increased the CPU power potential. It doesn't mean that I actually increased it, I just plugged in the additional header for it, which was never plugged in. That's the only other difference. I mean, I could get it to, I could see wherever it'll run without it, so that there's no other parameters affecting it, but the thing is, that shouldn't be an issue. In fact, the only reason it was never connected at the beginning was because I wasn't planning on overclocking it or anything. We're going to clean up the cooler though quite thoroughly. Okay, I need to go get a new paper towel. I'll go get some of that because tissue paper is really bad. And I'll also bring in some alcoholic wipes just to finish it off. Back in a moment, people. In fact, be right back. Alrighty. So I'm back. I already gave that a bit more of a better wipe as well. Essentially, that's crystal clear here, and I'm reluctant to touch this one here because it's almost got like that additional see how we go. I need to clean my ear out. It's clean, it's just itchy. I don't know what that means. Alright. Should I address the elephant in the mix, and do we want to power it up now or in the case? Look, either way, if this hasn't fixed the problem, then with this computer I'm up shit creek, frankly, to pardon the pun. And so that means putting it back in the case and utilizing it in that fashion will take me an extra 2 minutes longer than dismantling the power supply from the case and the harness itself. Do you have a spare power supply? I do. It's just easier this way than moving everything else into a different position for troubleshooting means. This was meant to be essentially a transplant / build. So yeah, I've already cleared the CMOS if it related to that. So I'm just thinking, can I manage to get this cooler? I can't get the fan on once it's in the case. I can't put the fan on. It's impossible. So I have to get that cooler on now, unfortunately, and deal with the power connections all over again. It's that finicky. Like, my hands aren't fat, but they're not thin, and it's that finicky in that case that it's a complete and utter nightmare. I'm going to double check whether all this is down correctly. Get some better contact. Hopefully I've got the washers on there correctly. Okay, now let's get some additional thermal applicatory goodness. Just the P this time. You can never have too much thermal paste unless you have too much thermal paste, people. make this a bit more manageable from the onset. Like so, that like so. Now we'll put on our brace. This is why it's clean. I'm used to it being dirty, so I don't know why I'm just not popping it down like so. Okay. Make sure it's centered. It's really annoying to get this centered. I believe that's centered now. Put that off to the side here. And we're gonna apply down evenly. We'll get our screws ready. 1 screw, 2 screws specifically. This is where I don't want it to spread unevenly, as this is a minimal amount of paste this time around. Just drop it ever so gently. And I want it to spread through the pressure itself, not through me being finicky with it. Or the pressure of screwing down the screws. Use this as a guide to center it now completely, like so. Okay, now essentially, to do it, you do the reversal. So you insert, then you don't move the screwdriver back left to right because you'll lose your angle, and that centering pressurization of the thermal paste as it then dissipates. Do your best you can not to. And we don't completely screw down on one side first, just enough to get it in the thread. Just enough, and then we go to the other side and we'll apply even pressure. We'll go a little bit more further down this side. And then we'll go down the opposing side. Almost toward the bottom out, which I'm starting to feel some resistance on it. So that means it's clamping down that thermal paste. Almost so it's bottomed out on the other side, just a little bit further this time, and it's almost done there because it won't spin any further. I'll go back to this side till it won't spin any further, and then 1/4 twist, 1/4 twist. I will check that side again, actually. Okay. That's proper applications. Should be good. We're going to cross our fingers that that was the issue at play. Let's get intake. I'm going to slide I might keep it bundled to that side, frankly, rather than having it scoot underwards. So I will just scoot it in that way and deal with it being a mess on one side of the cooler. Okay, let's get the other side fixed. This is where it becomes very finicky. These coolers are renowned to be finicky on the connections themselves. Even with experience, it can be very frustrating. Alright, so that goes like so. And then we will, applicably so, line it up. That's one side. Now I have to do the same for the other. Push it through, line it up, 90-degree angle, then push back and forward. Hopefully there's enough pressure applied. I'm going to check bottom side, top side. Bottom side's really low, very low, but it will do. It will work. So then back and forward with front one. Check that works. Back and forward with re1. Check that works. And now we're going to not the best. In fact, I'm thinking I might attempt a reconnection just to make it a bit more, just a little more rigid. No, it's gonna hold. It will hold. I'm just very pedantic right now. I just don't want anything to be wrong. I don't want it to vibrate otherwise as well when it's under load. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we're going to get our vanity screws and we'll cover up the holes. Anyway, by the way, if you're enjoying the stream, have any questions, just ask me. Hopefully I notice sooner rather than later, especially if I'm knuckling down. Welcome, my name is Robbi Astral. Welcome to Robbi Tek. Please hit the like and or subscribe button. Socials are in the description below, as well as a few other bits of information as well, so have a read as well, and I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you. Okay, so we're at that point where I'm going to now fix up the connection mess here. So essentially this one will re-plug into here, but what we might do is, first things first, is untwine it and retwine them both together so that they take up the least amount of space, like so, like so. That'll go like so. Then we'll apply that into its applicable spot just here, to the adapter harness. That's in, that's in. See what I mean by this? It's a little bit loud. Definitely can't, it's not a banger. In the background, subdued, it'd be fine, but it's the best I can find at times. Okay, this goes into CPU fan header. And then hopefully we can tuck it away as well. In she goes. Leaves us with what looks like a mess until we can tuck it underneath. And I want to do that now rather than later. There is essentially a gap there for it. Underneath the cooler itself, in between. Okay, that should be clean enough. On that side, we've got the other cable running below and through to here, which we need to connect up to the other harness on the other thing, so that should be okay as well. In fact, I might bring it down here. No, it should be fine that way. Okay. I don't know if I should apply both, if that's a variable in the mix. Let me just check the port itself. Checking for damage. Definitely is none. Alright, we should be able to get this back in the case. So I might leave the shroud off for the time being. Rather than put it on, it might give me an extra half mil. I mean, extra couple of millimeters to get what is very tricky in this case, specifically the CPU power header in. Oakley dokley. We're running out of time quickly, so I'm just going to check my phone and see whether it's upgraded. Oh, they changed the pin layout. What arseholes. LTE. I'm just gonna check real quickly for any updates additionally. Shouldn't be many, there's 8 here. We'll get those updated as well after this Android update, and then we're going to check the speeds on the server and see what's occurred, because they upgraded the speeds and I know what to expect around this area now. And if it's below par with updates to the phone, it's just like, I know the capabilities of this phone and I don't want someone just knocking him back all of a sudden, so okay. Now we go back to black, hopefully, rather than in the red zone. People, in the red zone, we are not a good place to be. And after all that, I still need to set this PC up essentially on a new setup in that regards, because I still need to salvage a RAID array, otherwise I'll lose 4 terabytes worth of data and whatnot. It's not going to be, it's just a matter of at least posting for us people, and not being weirdo Wackovich style, you know. Okay, I prefer not to pick it up from this spot anymore, even though it's generally speaking it's fine to do. Just to be completely eliminate any, you know, chances of it being the case. I still did that after saying that. It's not on the standoffs. Just giving me enough space, hopefully. To get this CPU pin in. We'll have to bring this over here, I think, will it reach for a change. I might eliminate all possibilities and only connect one 4-pin. What I do want to do is I want to have it running off the side here a little bit, just so I can pull that up and maneuver it into the position I need. This is hell, people, this spot here. I've got as much space as potentially available to me to do this, and I still can't get my stumpy fingers in there, in this case specifically. Like if I just had a girlfriend with a small hand, like god damn it. This is where you don't want to be too rough with the with what is essentially the cooler, because I might cause the same issue in that regards to began with. I think it just needed a reset. When you're so close but yet so far, that's where it becomes really frustrating. Okay, I'm going to try to maneuver it into position. that's giving us less space. It's just my back's fucking caning in this Aussie holding it like this. It's really blood, sweat and tears, surprisingly. Doors continuously slamming and you can sense the chaos in the air. It's just it untwists itself. I'm trying to. It's just twisted. It's twisted in a sense that is uncharacteristical, and it refuses to mold into shape. Every time I'm almost in position, I lose line of sight on it. It's a never-ending cycle, people. I need to actually just reflect and have a breather for 2 seconds because my back's starting to arc up on me. Couple of like cable ties would help, because it extended to such a level that you wouldn't have to worry about the connection of it. It finally slid in the right way. That's only one of them though. I'm only going to power it up with one this time, just to eliminate any problems. We're just going to have to make sure that it's locked into place now before applying pressure and screwing everything in. Should be a little easier to do. 1, 2. Is it locked into place? Seems flush. Seems good, people. Okay. Move this back aside over here. And now we'll deal with putting it back on correctly into standoffs and whatnot. So that still spins, that still spins, so that still spins, that still so that still spins, that still spins, that still spins, that still spins, back and forward, wiggle wiggle. Now let's get the fan per se connected to this part here. So that has to be connected to this. We'll go by feeling because we can't exactly reach. I'll do it through the back side here now that we've got these PCIe slots removed. It's only as long as it actually is long, which is always just that little bit shorter than what you actually require. True, guys? Do you feel that way sometimes, regardless of having inflated egos at other times? Okay. I should be able to connect that up per se. What side is what? That side is that. Alright, that should be in place. We'll tidy up those wires afterwards. We have to establish whether it's working this time around. But with that said, I'm just pedantic as hell and I just tidy as I go every single time I say that, like OCD style. Check whether there's any fanage that's being thingo. Not really. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get a couple of standoffs on. Couple of standoffs on. perhaps the center one. Couple of the corners, because we are when you apply pressure on, when you're putting the 26 pin in, you want to make sure that nothing's warping the board as little as possible, so everything's secured. But I need to make sure this is working first, otherwise I'm taking it all out again. One just over here. Okay. Now that we've got that connected, what we need topside here is rainbow spew. We'll leave for the time being. System fan on the other hand will connect up. Actually, we can sort of connect everything up that's necessary. System fan 1, system fan 1. Rainbow spew. Okay, double check system fan on that side. Now we'll put our 26 pin in. I'm not going to put the shroud on either. Okay. It's a good track considering. Like, it actually goes off. Okay. That for the time being, apart from maybe the front panel connectors would pop in, also the USB connection for your power supply. I mean, USB 2 for yeah. So we'll plug in a few things that are necessary first. Actually, we'll plug it all in, then it takes 2 seconds to unplug. I want all parameters to be the same. Unfortunately, clearing the CMOS already probably means that parameters will not be the same from the onset. Okay. Pray, people, pray to God. Okay. So is that the power supply USB requirement? That's HD audio, so we'll just get HD audio in as well, even though it's like the easiest one to do currently, so I might as well just make sure everything's firing on all cylinders so that there's no debate. Okay. Front panel. We'll pop it through here this time. I'll disconnect it later on and clean it up. In actual fact, I do want it under there, just like so, for that, and then that can go just in there. And by cleaning it up, I mean, if I get this working, I might leave it for the day because it's taken a lot. It's an emotional toll of this computer specifically for me, and I'll just be grateful that nothing's perfect in that sense, you know. But at least for the time being, it won't be for a little longer. I'm feeling confident that it was unseated and there are no pins damaged, so we should be able to reattach everything in that regards. First things first though is I'm gonna make sure that all parameters are equal and the same. And now front panel, double check spinners there. This is where the manual for just a split second reminder of positive and negative alignment will quickly indicate to me. Wrong pin. There we are. Reset switch, positive, negative. I hate it when you shine lights on stuff and you can't actually, it doesn't highlight anything. You just have to go by feeling at times, which is what I did just then. Reset switch. Power LED, positive, negative. We got the positive. I could have just jump started it, yeah, but you know, I want to make sure everything is working off the bat at once, not to find other additional problems later on. Okay. Front panel connectors in place, clean as day. One other thing I do have to, I'm obliged to check is those mechanical hard drives, are they locked in? Everything else, on the other hand, is part of the harness, which is keeping shit together quite well, so should be fine here. Pop that on there, and now before we get a chance to get it completely clean, we're gonna reinstall the graphics card, see if we can get a pose. And the capture card at the same time, so that there's no debate whatsoever. I'll pop that back. Alrighty, let's lock in the graphics card for the time being. And welcome all, by the way. My name is Robbi Tek. Welcome to Robbi Tek. Just troubleshooting a recently case transplanted PC. Seems like the potentially we're looking at an unseating of the AMD CPU, luckily with no pin breakages or whatnot. So hopefully it's a simple. There's already been a CMOS clear as well, so it's going to confuse the issue of now just ending up reconnecting it effectively and properly again. Keeping that in mind, we've got I'll put in this capture card as well. In the day and era where they were like 70 bucks, you know what I mean? Not like 350. it plays on the notion that, you know, everyone thinks that wannabe streamers, they're going to make it big somehow, and that it costs you money to start up making money, but you realize very quickly that you get nothing out of it unless you enjoy doing it to begin with. It used to be so cheap. It's the same thing essentially. It's the same bloody device that hasn't changed, you know. Why does it cost you $350 now instead of $100? And don't give me those cockamamie stories of why, supposedly because of press release and whatnot. Alright, so everything is connected that needs to be connected without it being tidy, if you get my drift. And by that, I'm not even going to put back or front case on. You can see that, you know, the shroud and everything is ill exposed, and the top power is ill exposed, and everything's exposed, but that's fine. We're going to bare bone it, and we're going to see if, in fact, we can double check all the fanages. If we can get it to work, then we can come back and clean it up. The time currently is 1:42, so I've got about 18 minutes to check this, and maybe about an hour to clear up before I have to be off somewhere. Worst case scenario, if I have to make that appointment today. So, okay people, time is for me to put it under the good old Descus. So what we're going to do is, that's the easiest way to just quickly check it today rather than do it for show with you guys, you know. But what I'll do is I'll move the camera just a little bit to the side here. And you'll be able to see whether I get a post up here. Okay. So let's pull her under. Good luck to myself, please. I can't afford to replace this computer, unfortunately. And I'm not the type of person like, I got a CPU to sell, it's never been overclocked. And it's like, I don't know, it was running when I had it, what'd you do to it? You know? I'm not that type of person. Alright, we'll let a little bit of that air in. Hopefully there's not too much glare there, guys. I apologise for that. It's radiating sunshine. Plug in what we essentially need for the time being. One USB into the 1050 Ti. I will connect it to the LAN straight away. Also our mouse and that's our keyboard. Our mouse can go into the USB 2.0 slots. Regarding our backup mouse, because we utilize an MX Master and the flow technology on both PCs, generally speaking. I'm hoping that this will work. That's an extension cable, I'm pretty sure it is. That's cable is / connection to that. That's the USB 3.0 connection to that. Apart from that, maybe we'll connect up the capture card to the other computer as well. Just so that they can give each other moral support, because computers like to talk to each other and stuff. Then I'm going to ground myself and I'm going to pop that in. Please God, please. Alright, power on. Give it a bit of life. Now I've got it originally set up with no LEDs in this computer specifically, so I don't know if it's, but I know it powers on. Okay, we're going to turn on the monitor. We'll turn on the other monitor for good measure. Let it decide what it wants to utilize. They're both ready to go. We've got a delete key ready. Let's hit that on switch. Come on, baby. Looks like we've got a dead CPU in our hands. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, it's indicating CPU light again. It's really fucked up, people. Yeah, I understand how fucked up that is. Okay, I'm gonna. It's no CPU. Full stop. Everything's fine regarding the placement and that of it. No pins are broken off. Turn it off at the power. Unplug it. Again. Gonna clear the CMOS. One, two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, on, baby. Come back to life. Please. Please. It's reacting to the connection there for the no power to the keyboard or whatever, unfortunately. There's no CPU power. I mean, like, okay guys, so effectively what we've got is a defective CPU and or motherboard part of the CPU process, which would detect the CPU, its bonds, like something there in that sense. To check it, I'd have to check the CPU on another motherboard and or another motherboard on this CPU that's working either way or either to verify. Yeah, but it looks like one or the other's done with. Hopefully it's, I mean, I prefer not to be either, but you know, the difference between a $800 or $850 at the time CPU in comparison to a $300 motherboard is, you know. So yeah, that's troubleshooting done. It doesn't always equate to an instant fix. You know, you have to get the parts in and whatnot also, but I'm 100% sure that it's fried in that sense, which really sucks because there's no reason for it to have happened. Anyway, peace out guys. Robbi Tek. You got any work for me? I need to build myself a new computer, so fuck it, send it my way. Yeah. Alright guys. Enjoy your days.